Why, hello there, old sports. Now, despite being a fan of Five Nights at Freddy's for most of my life, I was actually a fan of the series for a bit before ever actually playing one of the games. This was due to being a child with no money and parents who didn't want me traumatizing myself. However, eventually, I managed to convince my mother to buy me the old Legacy mobile version of the first game, and this was on both the Android store and Amazon for some reason. Now, unfortunately, I was not allowed to have the volume for the game on for some reason that I still can't remember to this day, and ultimately, this led to me never actually being able to finish said game, so that was $3 down the drain. But 11 years later, I've beaten that first game many times, partly because I'm not 9 years old anymore, and partly because I actually know how the first game works now. But I've always wondered how difficult it would be to beat the first FNAF game without any sound. So today, I'm not only going to beat the first Five Nights at Freddy's game, but 100% it as well without any audio. So, this means I will be achieving all 3 stars by beating nights 1 through 6, and the maximum setting custom night. Unfortunately, this challenge run will require some trust between creator and viewer. For your viewing experience, I didn't mute the game audio like on my computer itself, and this was also so I could point out some things post-recording in the editing process. So, to actually make sure I wasn't hearing anything, I took off my headphones and put them as far away as I could from my desk so I couldn't hear anything coming from them. So with that, I think that's all the rules and stipulations that need to be established. We'll go night by night and see all that happens. I really hope you enjoy the video, but to determine if that's possible, I'll have to get into... So to immediately get off to a terrible start for this video, I spend the first 3 minutes of the challenge doing literally nothing. The way the game works is that the 4 characters start out each night at specific AI levels. At 2 AM, Bonnie's AI will increase by 1, and at 3 and 4 AM, Bonnie, Chica, and Foxy will all get an additional AI level. So for this night, all the characters will never move until 2 AM, where Bonnie gains a 5% chance to move roughly every 5 seconds. Hence, why I sat there doing nothing for the first 2 in-game hours. But quickly after the clock hits 2 AM, I start flipping the cameras up to check the main stage to check on Bonnie. Even if there's only a 5% chance for him to move, there is the extremely small chance he could hit that chance 5 times in a row and kill me, because I would just assume that luck would never happen. Funnily enough, that idea wasn't actually that ridiculous, because once the clock hit 3 and Chica gets that first 5% chance to move, she instantly took it. Bonnie moves off the stage soon after now that his AI has gone up again, and that 5% chance to move has increased to 10%. I start to check the door lights for Bonnie and Chica now that both of them are off the stage. At the beginning of the game and the challenge, I didn't really have any strategies for this challenge in specific, so I decided that just checking the door lights while occasionally checking the cameras to stall Foxy would suffice, but I'll elaborate on that more later. Honestly, I don't know what they were putting in the pizza, because it was night 1, but before it even hit 5 AM, Bonnie had already attacked me while Chica was sitting in the hallway corner. Additionally, before the night ended, Bonnie attacked me again, and Chica attacked me twice. It is night 1. However, since it is in fact night 1, I was able to survive very easily because, let's be honest, I wasn't going to die here regardless. Starting off night 2, we're yet again off to a terrible start. Continuing the trend of Bonnie and Chica being super aggressive for no real reason, less than 30 seconds after the night began, both of them were already off the stage. I would like to remind you that this is night 2 of 7. They even actually attacked me each a couple of times, which does not bode well for the future, but I am managing it so far, so we will see. Now, even though he can be active and even attack you on night 1, Foxy usually isn't ever relevant until night 2. This is due to the fact that people on their first time playing night 1, and the game by extension, will usually be using the cameras a lot, therefore stun locking Foxy. And I'll explain that real quick. First of all, the only audio Foxy is tied to is a song that he'll sing occasionally that has literally no gameplay impact whatsoever, so he doesn't really change much for this challenge. But just because he doesn't change at all for this challenge run, doesn't mean he can't be a threat. But unfortunately, or fortunately, depending on your perspective, Foxy is a non-issue. Every time you flip up the camera, Foxy will fail any movement attempts while they are up, just completely automatically, completely passively. Even after you lower it, Foxy will continue to fail movements for a span between roughly 1 to 15 seconds. So, as long as you flip the cameras enough and you're given good luck, you can functionally stun lock Foxy and completely ignore his existence altogether. Now, the strategy I used every night accounted for this, but I'll elaborate more on that later. Either way, besides the quick burst of aggression Bonnie and Chica showed at the beginning of the night, this wasn't too difficult and it was a pretty usual night 2 fare in terms of Five Nights at Freddy's. Starting on night 3, I decided I was going to not move at all until I saw the mute call button appear in the corner. Every night the power will begin to passively drain a little faster up until night 4, so doing little things like this helps to save a little power. Now this is not only generally helpful for obvious reasons, but I'm going to be using more power than usual since I don't have any audio to help me, so hopefully this offsets that little addition. Now, starting on night 3, Freddy Fazbear himself begins to move around the building. Freddy will slowly advance through the right side of the pizzeria, never moving backwards. You cannot stop him, you can only hope to slow him down. Freddy is by far the most dangerous character in this game. Is what I would say if you couldn't just completely stop Freddy by selecting the East Hall corner camera and never changing the camera you're on. Now this means by selecting said camera and just flipping the pad up consistently, I've managed to deal with half the mascots, leaving just Bonnie and Chica as the only real threats. But funnily enough, when Chica moves to the hall corner, her sprite has a higher priority than Freddy's because the hall camera can't show both of them on screen at the same time, so Chica's will always appear over Freddy's if they're both in that same camera. So we're able to keep our camera on the corner to stall Freddy, and then whenever we see Chica appear and then disappear, that's the only time we need to check on the right door. Other than that, I just alternate between checking the left door light and flipping the camera up for a moment. Other than that, there's not really anything that interesting that happened this night. What do you mean you're playing OBS Studio? Now, upon beating night 3 and starting night 4, I ran into a problem. You might be wondering, what finally made this challenge, well, challenging? But that's the thing, there is no challenge. As the nights go on, the animatronics don't actually move any faster, rather, they just have a higher chance to move given any opportunity. Ironically, Bonnie and Chica moved more on nights 1 and 2 than any other night, so they're much easier compared to how they were earlier, somehow. Remember the beginning of the video when I mentioned I never beat that mobile port of FNAF since I had no sound? Looking back, I don't think that was true. Yes, obviously, having no sound didn't help me, but I was also playing on a crappy tablet with little to no knowledge on how the game actually worked, especially compared to what I know now. I'm gonna be honest, half the information I was working on back then was probably just completely false. Like the whole, if you don't move during the blackout sequence, Freddy doesn't attack you as fast. That was complete bullshit. That wasn't a real thing ever. So I started to do additional little mini challenges to try to distract myself and screw with myself enough to make the challenge more challenging. I tried counting how many times the lore newspapers appeared in the hallway corner, which on night 4 was coincidentally 4 times. It did not make things harder. I tried checking for Golden Freddy roughly once every hour when I could. It didn't work. I tried playing with my non-dominant hand. It didn't do much. I tried putting on headphones connected to my phone and playing various annoying songs to distract myself. It did nothing. I legitimately don't know what to do to make this challenge harder without either making it completely impossible or just too luck-based to the point where it wouldn't even be interesting anymore. I feel like I'm wasting everyone's time by making this video, but the sunk cost fallacy has me by the throat, and it will not let go. Maybe night 5 will be more difficult. I got nothing. This was even easier than night 4. So, I beat the main campaign, but the game became a lot easier as it went on. And I honestly can't tell if that's because I learned anything, or if it was just because I had really bad luck in the beginning. But as we all know, there's no such thing as a Five Nights at Freddy's game with only 5 nights. On to night 6. Okay. You get 3 guesses on how this went. Screw being professional. This was easy. This wasn't a challenge. This is Five Nights at Freddy's 1. It's not very hard. My voice just cracked. Blah, 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 blah. It's not hard. I don't know what to do. It's not hard. This is the main campaign and its ultimate challenge. They're not enough to stop me, but those were the nights that were designed to be fair. The maximum setting on the custom night means every single opportunity for the animatronics to move is guaranteed to be successful. This mode was never designed to be fair, and Scott Cawthon didn't even think it was possible until it was beaten for the first time. Now, while the mode is pretty easy given our current knowledge, if one night is going to give me problems, it will be this one. On to night 7. Now, unlike nights 3 through 6, I didn't start off by just sitting still in the office for a while, which is already a good start. Bonnie and Chica will immediately move into our office if I don't close the door within 5 seconds of them moving to said door, so I can't just pay half attention like the other nights. As well, there's no point in trying to stop Freddy from advancing forwards, because he will inevitably slip through when his opportunities to move don't line up with when I flip up the cameras, so I'll need to keep the camera on the hall corner like I was already doing. Since I can never move the camera, I won't ever be able to check on Foxy without wasting power by keeping the right door closed and blocking Freddy. So, if I ever screw up and don't lift the camera fast enough if I need to check the doors, Foxy will progress towards him moving out of his cove, and if he manages to escape, he'll rush out the left door, or he'll rush into the left door, and there's a very good chance our game will end. But it wasn't enough. It was 5 a.m., and I was sure I had enough power to beat the night if I kept going the way I was. So I decided to do something drastic. I let the bear in. Come on, Freddy. Do your worst. How? I let Freddy in the room, and he still didn't kill me. I have no words. Okay, I have a few, but legitimately, what the hell? Okay, so being honest, the reason I went with this challenge specifically is because it wasn't one that I could find had already been done to death. So I figured, regardless of how hard the actual challenge was, I could at least make something somewhat original. But I'm honestly not sure at this point. I don't know what's going to be entertaining about this video. I tried, but I guess that's up to you guys to decide. At least I can say I tried to make an interesting video. Maybe this first game is just too easy to be challenging, at least in new ways. Anyways, I'd like to thank you for watching this video, and to learn that you can indeed 100% Five Nights at Freddy's without any sound. Before I go, I'd also like to thank my channel members for their continued financial support. Wally73, Sven Biscuit, and Amarin98. You all mean the world to me. Thank you so much. And of course, I'm also thankful to everyone else watching. I'm extremely thankful you even gave me some of your time today to watch this video. It also means the world to me. But overall, I think that's all I have to say. I hope you have a good day, night, or whatever time of day it is for you whenever you're watching this, and see you on the flip side.